Hello, Mr. Zachary Jaeger.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, Rudy, it even goes deeper. This thing even goes deeper because you have all these mainstream 501c3 churches, which are all part of this whole thing. They don't want anything exposed. And what I find interesting, Mr. Davis, is how in the heck can you have pastors of churches that sit here and act like they're doing the will of God when the fact that they've taken a 501c3 status and turned their church into a business and won't expose the system? How is that not totally contrary to God's word?
I'm with. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement with you totally. And what you were saying earlier was very powerful. Let me ask you this: are you aware of Chuck Baldwin's Liberty Church project, trying to get churches out of the 501c3 trap?
I was intrigued by Mr. Baldwin, but here's where I was turned away by Mr. Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin has very good information. He has the truth. There's nothing a problem with. Here's wherein lies the problem. You have tons of homeless people that have been misplaced by the system. They have no place to go. He wants to charge people to come stay at his. He's got these camps or these cabins set up. He wants to charge people, and it's like, okay, I'm sorry, but I understand it takes revenue to run things, but also understand we serve a God that owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and Jesus today asks you and I and everybody else to trust him. And if we're relying on people for income to house homeless victims, we're literally slapping God in the face and saying, you're not big enough.
Okay.
And that's my only thing with him. He's got these cabins set up, but then he wants to charge homeless people, misplaced people that have no place to go. He wants to charge them like the Salvation Army does, and it's like, now wait a minute here. Are we doing the will of God or are we not? I mean, if God gave me a building and I had homeless people coming to me needing a place to stay, of course I would have I would make sure that these guys would want to come clean, because I'm not going to take people who have no desire and no ambition to get rid of their addictions. I want people who want to change. But on the same hand, it's like if I tell people I trust God, and then I've got to charge for these homeless people. I'm basically a hypocrite to these people, because they're going to say, well, he tells us he trusts God. Why is he not relying on God for his income?
Right.
It's kind of like when pastors, brother Davis. It's kind of like when pastors sit up in the pulpit and they sit there and tell us about the tithe, which is totally scriptural, but yet they're relying on the people, and if that money doesn't come in, they get awfully mad at their members. I've seen it in churches, and it's like, okay, wait a minute here. You guys are not relying on God, because if you were relying on God, you would not be getting ticked off at the people. You'd be saying to God, okay, what are you trying to show me here?
Yeah. No, and that's some powerful stuff. I guess it's okay to call you Brother Jaeger. My question that you called earlier, and of course I'm kind of embedded or consumed right now with trying to help our brother in the Lord, Kent Hovind, in prison. And you were saying something. Do you want to share something about specifically his situation?
When you go into these courts and defend him, first of all, you have to basically not allow them to get jurisdiction over you, and that's not an easy task. But you have to tell them that you're not complying to any of their, because the minute you comply to any of their rules and regulations, you might as well kiss it goodbye,
right?
Because you're done.
No, let me. Yeah, no, and I want to hear more about that, but let me just quickly insert that Ernie Land is Kent Hovind's trusted advisor, and I'm not handling any of the legal stuff. The stuff you were talking about, America has become a corporation, and the 501c3 is very powerful. I want to learn more about it. I told you before that my engine is running at full speed, and this seems like a lot to digest at the moment.
Sure.
But I am appreciative of you sharing this. So I'm going to pass along this audio recording, which you're allowing me to record, to Mr. Ernie Land, who is handling Kent Hovind's legal defense. Do you think Kent Hovind is aware of this, and do you think this is one of the reasons he's in prison right now, because he's taking this stand?
I know a little bit about his situation, but I can't simply say that I don't know if he's aware of the United States being a foreign. Without talking to him,
okay.
I really don't. I'm not going to make that statement because I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if he knows.
No, I got you. Thank you for that, Brother Jaeger. So but basically what you were saying earlier about all of our churches being controlled by this 501c3 and becoming corporations being controlled by the state, like in, I think it was Houston, that somebody was subpoenaing the sermons because they were speaking out against homosexuality. That's
You got it.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. So,
well, and do you know, Brother Davis, I don't know if you're aware of this, but actually when these churches take that 501c3 status, they're literally taking what the Bible calls the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, they shouldn't submit to the control of what they can preach and what they can't preach. That's for certain.
Right.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Brother Jaeger. You called me out of the blue, and I appreciate you letting me record you. And I'm trying to learn and digest. I'm just in I got a lot of plates spinning right now, and we're trying to help Brother Hovind in prison. But where can people learn more about all this stuff that you're talking about? If is there any place that you can?
If they go in their search engine on Yahoo or MSN, it doesn't really matter. One of those search engines, and they type in United States Foreign Corporation, you'll get a bunch of articles that'll go into that. You look at different ones, but it'll explain why the system has done this. They've basically done this to enslave you and I and the rest of the people.
Okay, yeah, I can completely understand that. You said earlier, sir, that you were associated with Brother Greg Dixon, Pastor Greg Dixon.
Yes.
Can you? I understand he had a church that was bulldozed down, and they came and I guess they arrested. I don't know the details.
Yes, the IRS took it from him, and they gave him. I think they gave him less than a week or about a week's time to get out of there.
Wow. Did he spend any time in prison or?
I don't know. He never mentioned that to me, but I know they gave him so much time to forsake his parsonage and get everything out of his church because they turned his church into a charter school.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we've definitely under persecution by the IRS, and they're using the IRS as a tool to do it. So I'm going to try to learn some more about what you're saying, sir. I appreciate you calling. It's just there's so much going on. It's the devil's strongholds or his lies and deceptions go so deep in so many different areas. It can be overwhelming. So I'm going to pray for the strength of the Lord to kind of give me discernment. So I'll let you have.
I'm one of the most. I don't want to use maybe one of the most, but I'm a very hated individual by the mainstream churches because they can't stand me because I just absolutely. I mean, I've had pastors. After I expose the fact that they're a business, I've had pastors tell me, "Get out of my church."
Yeah.
Get out of my church. It's like, man, I tell you what. When a pastor tells you that, first of all, when he uses the language "my church," I already know the church doesn't belong to God because he's already reaffirmed it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Okay, well, I'm going to record this and upload it, and I want everybody to listen and make your decision, and it sounds like something we need to become educated on. It certainly sounds like they're using that.
Well, if you would do me a favor, pass this information on to Ernie, and
okay.
I don't know what Ernie knows about this, but Ernie definitely needs to be educated if he's not, because if he files stuff like the lawyers and attorneys do, he's you're fighting a losing battle because these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just say that Dr. Kent Hovind has identified him as the trusted advisor handling the legal end of things, and I will make sure he gets your audio. But that's all I can do. That's all I can do. I don't try to put myself in the situation of handling Kent Hovind's legal affairs, but I will make sure that Ernie gets the message.
That'd be fine.
Okay. Well, Brother Jaeger, I appreciate the phone call, sir. I'll let you have the last word if there's anything you want to say, but I appreciate what you've shared so far.
Well, I just, I appreciate the Alex Joneses. Alex, the only discrepancy I have with him, he is a guy that hammers truth, but there is part of him that doesn't understand that there are unregistered churches out here that don't like what's going on, and I think that's where Alex is blinded on that avenue, but we really don't have, brother. I'm telling you, we don't have very many people that really know the full extent of what's going on here.
Yeah, we'll continue to shine the light and make noise. And Gideon only needed 300, right? So Gideon's army working for the Lord. So we'll do the best that we can. But I'm all about the truth. I'm all about educating myself and not compromising with the devil. I just if I do anything wrong, I pray for forgiveness. But sometimes the devil's lies and deceptions are so deep it takes me a while to digest it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling, Brother Jaeger, and I'll if you got an email address, I'll send you the link when I upload this, so you can listen to it as well. It's up to you if you want to give it out on the.
Yeah, you can send it. It's the first 4 letters of my first name, ZACH.
Yep.
And then the first 4 letters of my last name, JAEG, and then at yahoo.com.
All right, sir. I'll get it uploaded in the next, by tonight at least, and I'll get you the email. Let me just repeat the first part back. ZACHJAEG at yahoo.com, and I'll make sure you get it. Okay, very
correct.
Okay, well, God bless you, sir, and thank you for calling and sharing this information.
Yeah, well, hopefully share it with other people when you have the opportunity to do so.
I will do it.
Okay, brother.
Okay, take care. God bless.